Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining in today. It wouldn't be me if I didn't have technical issues, so I appreciate you bearing with me. The internet and the power surge in the house decided to reset my internet. So as you can see, I'm resetting some things down bottom before we get started here tonight. I've got 37 people on right now, which is great from a viewing perspective, and I greatly appreciate that. I decided not to do a conference call mainly because I like listening to my voice. Nah, that's not the case. I just didn't want to have everybody worried about trying to click on buttons, and I'm going to take you through some filming 101 right now concerning how we film here at Score Sports. If you have any questions, feel free to chime in concerning the realistically. Somebody said, "Am I supposed to be hearing something?" That was funny as they said that. I would tell them to actually turn up the volume because hopefully everything's coming in. If you are listening and everything sounds okay, go ahead and text me. Mainly because it's the first time I've actually pulled off this YouTube Live piece of information. That's what kind of my goal was to see if I could have y'all not worry about coming out too far, so we could discuss some football before football actually gets started this week. If you're not able to hear anything, that means my volume's a little bit too low, and I'm hearing myself because I usually have two counterparts in here chiming in my ears. Now I get a thumbs up now from David Hughes. David Hughes loves to bring stress to my life. So if you know David Hughes, make sure you give him a hug because sometimes I'm not able to hug him. He's the gentleman that at most times calls me during the night just to say, hey, how things are going. So that's always entertaining in that perspective. So we're about to get started here. Everything's kind of resetting on my end from a computer perspective. So we can go ahead and get started. Don't want to waste your time tonight. Want to remind you I will be sending out invites for calendar invites for Friday night games. They're going to be located at realistically 3 locations. They're going to be sending. This is very low. This is Edward, meaning low volume, low this. We'll see what we can do to adjust it. Don't want to blow everybody's eardrums off to be able to do that, but I'll raise up the volume to see if you can actually hear me just a little bit better. Appreciate that, Edward. Getting a thumbs up from Brandon Miller. Appreciate you're good on sound. Can see your comments. That's great. Appreciate everybody giving me insight. If you could see what I'm doing right now, you would at least get a chuckle out of it, so I appreciate that. So we're going to have a chance, as you can see, the thumbs up, and this is what I used to look like many, many moons ago, to let you know that at least I played football at one point in my life, so that's pretty good. Still actually having some issues with the internet, so give me 1 second. I want to figure this thing out here in just a minute before I just go berserk and trying to understand why my internet decided to click off on me here in a minute. So we're going to try something here. Still nothing. A lot better sound. Appreciate that. Thank you. Trying to adjust my sound at this point to get things started. Y'all give me 1 second and I'll be right back. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, is why in many ways it's good to get to a game to an hour ahead of time so everything works properly. You wouldn't believe it if I told you of how everything just kind of played out. So I'm just taking a deep breath and not necessarily getting too frustrated with everything coming in my direction. But everything looks like it's working right now, so that's good, and I'm able to see what I'm seeing here on the live stream, and I appreciate everybody staying with me and not giving up. That's always a plus. So once again, just to remind a couple people and everybody that joined in, we have 36 people on. Hopefully you have had a chance to log in on the chat so I can have an opportunity to see who all came in, which is great. I appreciate that. And we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like everything's working in my direction right now, which is good. We do have football games this Friday and Saturday, which is a nice little early thing. They actually are going on full pads on Wednesday, so they only have 2 days of practice before they get started with everything, so there's no telling how good or bad it'll look. We also have some practices that we're going to film on Friday as well. So, got everybody giving me thumbs up, which is great. All right, with that, no further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started here. All right. So everybody has an opportunity to see this little piece of information that you see in front of you is called Huddle. Okay, and Huddle is what we spend more time uploading and looking at certain things. So we're going to have an opportunity tonight to look at some games, and realistically, we're just going to go over one game in particular. Because I have had an opportunity to really sit down and examine it. So I wanted to be able to say, okay, hey, let's look at this particular game overall. As you can see, we're going to talk about 3 different angles. I'm going to throw up on the screen right now so you can kind of understand when I say 3 different angles. We're going to look at it from 3 different angles. Okay, and I'm going to pause those 3 games right now. And we're going to go over these 3 angles in detail and talk about special teams, kickoff return, and everything that needs to be done with it in this particular area. On the far left here of what you're seeing is that you're seeing a wide angle, and then you get to see a tight angle in the middle, and then you see the end zone angle to the right. This gives you an idea of what we're looking at. Most everybody on the phone right now or on YouTube Live is going to have an opportunity to really look at the wide and the tight. I do want to continue to talk about end zone because it seems to be the famous thing that everybody is asking for in the last 2 hours, that they want end zone copies. So I wanted to make sure that I brought that into conclusion, or brought that into our conversation here tonight. Right now, in general, we're going to really talk about the wide and the tight, and then we'll get to the end zone here in a minute. So I want to cancel out of this image right here, and we're just going to open up the wide angle. And I just want to have a chance for us to talk a little bit about the wide. The wide is the hardest thing a lot of times for us to understand. The reason for that is that we want to make sure we don't get too far out. We don't want to make sure that we get too close in. There's always little pluses and minuses with our wide angle. So in this situation, when we're taking a look at the wide angle here, there's some things to remind everybody when you're filming. Before you film the game or before you start with the kickoff, it's really good to film certain things. It's good to film the coin toss. It allows you to get your tripod, your brain, everybody focused, because you've already been here for about 30 to 40 minutes to get your mind set up. So this right here is known as the coin toss with the wide. We'll see what the tight looks like, but it's about the same thing. After they do a coin toss, they do what we call as a run-through. It's great to film the run-through. Once again, it's good highlight footage. Once again, allows you to make sure everything's working. Your recorder, your zoom in and zoom out. It's always nice to be able to do that and feel comfortable. As you can see in the right-hand side right there, that's our end zone camera here on this part right here. So you can see that that's where we're set up here in the end zone, wearing orange, trying to stay a little bit warm. It was a cold night out there in McDonough, Georgia that night versus I think it was the 3rd round of the playoffs. So the first thing that you're going to look at from a kickoff perspective is that the kickoff, when you're filming with your wide, you film 3 lines. This is the first line right here. This is the second line right here, and this is the third line. Okay? With your tight, you'll film just the first 2 lines. And as you can see, when the ball goes and gets kicked, let's see if the guy pays attention. Oh, he does. Look at that. He follows the group of people right here. They're called the kickoff team down to where the football goes. It's a little pooch kick, so it's really hard to see it, but it's good in that direction to be able to see that adjustment. Now, next play. This is our famous, hey, how do we center your tight and adjust your wide? For those people that are football-based folks, or they're video-based folks, realistically, the ball in your brain should be right here in the middle. We don't want that because you have 3 cameras on your tripod. You have to take your wide and physically grab it and adjust the angle. It's very important to physically adjust the angle in that situation. If you don't, then it will always look a little bit awkward. And as you can see here, we're going to let this team play out a little bit, and I'm going to pause it here in just a minute. Now, this is their first play. I always kind of give 5 plays, 6 plays in and go, I wonder how they're going to adjust. To me, there's too much back here. Okay, I'd like to go where the ref is. That's about as far as I want to go. Okay, right here on the 40-yard line where the defender is good for me as well. That's what we want to talk about from a wide perspective. So I would like it, practice, perfect, whatever you want to say. This is what I'd like to see. Doesn't mean that I actually have to see it. Okay, once again with the wide, once we set our cameras, we don't go back and look at the LCD screen. I'll reiterate, please don't go back and look at the LCD screen. It holds no purpose to be able to look at it. It'll just confuse you when you're trying to watch the tight and the wide at the same time. So when you're sitting there and watch the play, it's a run play. As you can see, all 22 players are always in the screen, which is nice. Let's take a look at the next clip. They look like they got right back on the ball. We haven't really adjusted just yet. Hopefully the filmer will adjust as the game goes on. One thing that I want to keep in your mind is how long do you actually keep it recording after the play? As you can see, play goes down, and it is quite a while before we actually switch it over. I like to say when the ref has the ball in their hands, that's when you stop the recorder. When the ref has the ball in their hands. We don't ever want to stop it until the ref has. Famous story. We thought the play was over with. We stopped our cameras. It was not. It was a live ball, and the guy picked it up and ran it down. We finally realized it and started recording when the gentleman hit the 10-yard line. And we got so many nice, wonderful, nasty emails and phone calls about why didn't we film what we did? I said, hey, everybody thought it was dead. We did too. So in this situation, it allows me to say, hey, make sure that we're filming until the play's over with. All right. Now, that person that was filming right now did not get jumped. So I don't want to give that indication that they jumped the play. If the stuff at the very bottom of the screen is called a snap indicator, I'm going to take the snap indicator off because it's making me feel like possibly we missed something. So I'm going to take that off and open it back up so we can actually see it. This is going to be really good because we're actually going to see a pass play here. So we're going to see how we reacted to this overall pass play. Now, once again, I still would like to see the play cut off right here, 5 yards behind this quarterback and running back. They're too far. There's too much dead space here, but right here is good. We got a lot of backup space right here, which is presentable. Now, right now, because we didn't adjust our cameras and we got too much space up here, this little free safety and cornerback right here is about to run out of the picture, and now he's out of the picture. So now 1, 2, 3 are out of the picture. So we cannot see that. This guy over here, the DB and the free safety have just ran out of the picture because we had too much space in the background. And then he comes back and then he picks back everything up, which is nice. And once again, we're able to actually see everything as it goes, which is really wonderful to see. All right. So as you can see, there's been change of field. Now, once again, still should be cut off right here. We have almost 5, 10, 15 yards in the backfield. Not good. Beating the dead horse. I'll be quiet. Next play happens. Still a run. All 22 are still in there, which is nice. See if we can get, I think, actually a field goal occurs here so we can actually see what a field goal looks like. They're going to line up for a field goal. With our wide camera, we always want to make sure that we widen out so we get the field goal kicker, all 22 players, and the goal post. And we leave our camera alone, and we do not touch it. So we've learned 2 special teams today. First special teams, when we do kickoff, we have 3 lines that we worry about. When we do extra point and field goal, right here, you show all 22 players plus the goal post. Okay? These are things to remember, kind of put in the back of your tool belt and have that in your mind. Because when they kick the ball, this is kind of the most relaxing play that we have because as long as it doesn't get blocked, we can kind of stay put. It's going to be no good. Now we'll see if this filmer's on point. When there's a change of possession or a score, we go to the scoreboard. Let's see if they go to the scoreboard. And they do. That's a money shot right there. Great. We don't need to zoom in. This is our wide camera. We just need to show the scoreboard for 3 seconds with our wide camera. It's a great indicator and a great point to be able to look at. Jerry, nice to join us, man. Appreciate you saying you were here. All right, so now they got the ball. Now it's switching and going this direction. And now, once again, center your tight and adjust your wide. Once again, this is our wide, not our tight. I'll show us our tight here in just a minute. As you can see, as the play goes down, everything kind of adjusts. Now, what happened here? This was the punt. Here's the punter. They're widening out a little bit more to make sure that they get everything and that he punts. And there's our punt returner. He'll eventually come to the ball, which is no problem. We want to follow not the ball, but the players running down. So it's good to be able to widen out and go down there. Change of possession. They go to the scoreboard. So we're going to cancel out of this real quick, and we're going to go to the tight. If there's anybody has any questions about the wide, feel free to type in a question. I'll do my best to answer it. I am looking at that screen and multitasking as we go, but I am going to go ahead and go to the tight screen here so we can have a chance to look at the tight. Now, you can automatically see their difference here. Okay, this is a good chance for you to zoom in, zoom out, feel comfortable with it. There is no wrong or right concerning that whatsoever. It's just good to make sure everything is working. Sometimes I like you to film even before if you want to do 3 seconds and kind of continue to test it throughout when they're warming up just to make sure everything is working the way it needs to. Then you have the nice little run through. Once again, this is a nice money shot for highlights and stuff like that. So I love to get run throughs. I love to get celebrations. I love to get anything that's something that's different. You can never go wrong as long as we're filming the play. That's the key things, that we're filming the play. So here's our kickoff. It's difference between the tight and the wide, and I'm going to show that to you here in just a minute when I'm able to bring up the 3 screens again and show you the difference between the tight and the wide. So this is our tight, and we actually have the ability to control this tight and wide by zooming in and zooming out. But we only want to get the first 2 lines. We want to follow all these little 11 ragamuffins down the field. Please don't go where the ball's going. Just follow the 11 guys down the field. They'll take you to the ball. And then you can zoom in. And it's very important that you see who touched the ball, okay, because they have to do stats. It's very important to be able to see that. And if we can't see that, then it becomes we didn't allow it. Right now, I believe number 66 here was the one that received it. 5 made the tackle. But you want to, as much as you can, hold on as fast as you can to holding on to that ball, or holding on to making sure before you stop the recorder. All right, here we go. Next play. Now, there's definitely a world of difference between the tight and the wide. There's different end zones. There's different press boxes. Everything plays into it. But bottom line is, is that the ball needs to be centered. Yes, it probably could be right over here if it was centered. But in this situation, it's not, so that's okay. We kind of work around with what we got. So, Max, I got your message via text. Appreciate that, bud. So when you're watching the play, this is what your tight looks like. And this is the one you're paying attention to now. You see how fast they moved out and they're about to hike the ball? So we got to get this guy in the picture. He's out of the picture right here on the far right. We got to make sure he's there. And we're moving back, but what he's not doing is that we weren't centered, so now suddenly we have a little bit of space here behind the linebackers, which is not the end of the world. It's just something to be aware of. Now, did you see move this back a little bit. Did you see the jerk of the camera because he took off? We don't need to move anything. We're fine. But you could see him move the camera real quick thinking that he was going to break the hole. You want to keep this ball in the center of the field. Okay, center of the screen, not the field, sorry. Center of the screen at all times, keeping a radius of 10 yards, 10 yards, 10 yards, and 10 yards. But once again, I'm fine with everything that you have, but it's good to keep it going until you know that the ref has the ball, and here comes the next play. Now, everything's always going to be different based on angles of the field, and totally understand all that part. Just going to be able to kind of adjust as we go. Get a little celebration. It's always nice. It's always comfortable. It's fun to be able to do. They're going to do one more play here, and we're going to be able to see what a run looks like, or get to see what a pass looks like here in just a minute. They're a little bit widened out. I do not care about these guys. Now, suddenly, the filmer has began to widen out some. I'd love it to be a little bit more tighter to show this. I would like this to be in the frame. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, I can handle a little bit more space right here, but that's it. I don't want to see this. We're too far out to be able to see that part. So that's very important for us to kind of keep that in the mind. When he drops back for a pass, right there, then you can widen out and show all this because you need to see what he's seeing. I mean, he's looking at receivers left and right. It's good to get that same type of view and vision when he's looking at certain things as well. And that's why you have to widen out when you see the quarterback drop back like that. If you don't, that's what's going to be a negative filming because you're going to be up so close that when he releases it, as you can see, he's going to start scrambling around. Right there, gets a little nervous. Widen out because you can't see it. But our filmer's good. He's on point. She's on point. She knows exactly where to go, or he knows exactly where to go, which is fine. And probably the most interesting thing is that when they got to this side of the field here, you could see that they tried to widen up in center. And this was the first pass play of the game. So usually that first pass play is always one to really get your brain going. Okay? So we'll do one more here. I would love to see none of this. I just want to see this in the picture. This is a great tight angle here. Sometimes we get a little bit too wide and we're seeing this, but sometimes it's just the stadium, and I understand that too. So it's kind of a give or take in that situation. We'll look at this tight play real quick. It's nice when it just happens right there. We don't have to move too much. That's a good thing to feel through. This tight's getting a little bit tighter here, which is nice to shrink up. And as you can see, when the play started going away, did you see the camera start tightening up, moving in? We want to keep that going. We don't want to stay further away. It gets harder to see each time. So we want to make sure that we start drawing in a little bit closer as the play starts moving towards the other sideline. It's very important for us to be able to do that. Going to flip through here real quick. Let's get to the kickoff. And as you can see, as time goes on, he's adjusting his angles, and it's actually getting a little tighter, which is nice. This is a good shot here. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. And let's see when the play actually gets into a line of scrimmage, do they widen out or does he stay tight? Widens out a little bit, but this is a good tight scheme right here. We're seeing everything that we need to see, and that's this information here and here. These are the linebackers. Here's our running back. And this is when I'm talking about centering. That ball is in the middle. Enough space here, enough space here, here, and here. It's a great centering piece. That's where that ball needs to be at every chance we get. Once again, staying there until everybody comes up so we can see numbers, which is great. They're going to line up for a field goal here in just a minute. Now, the field goal rules with the tight angle is that you just worry about these 22 players. Do not worry about the goal post. Just stay here in this group right here. When they kick it, stay here. Don't worry about where the ball goes. The reason for that is our wide gets that piece. So don't get yourself caught in figuring out, hey, I want to follow the ball. Your wide is going to get that. It's beautiful. Don't move the ball. Yes. And it's going to take everything in your power not to move the camera. So don't move the camera. That's the worst thing in the world to sometimes do. Now, you talk about a nice close-up of the or the scoreboard for a 3-second count. That's our tight camera. But we want to do it with our tight and our wide. Now, here comes our offense. Once again, it's just going in a different direction. Now they're going this way. All right, this is much different than what we saw with when the white team was on offense. He was a little bit wider, and I kept wondering, was he going to tighten up? And usually first part of the game, that's always the case. So we're sitting here looking at this. It's a little close here. There's not a lot of space back here, but this good space here. Looks like this is a ref right here. This is good space here. And we're staying right there in the tight. Especially a lot of times I try to keep you with the same team. If the world is being nice to all of us, I'll keep you with your same team so you get an idea of what everybody does. Now this team right here, Elka, they snap the ball every 9 seconds. So no playing with these cell phones, getting busy, and here it goes. Now, once again, they love to do a thing called an RPO, run pass option. This run pass option, the moment he flares back like that, you want to widen out so you can see everything that he's seen so you're not swinging the camera. And just widen out until he gets there. You'll get to where you need to. You're not going to miss it as long as you're just following the bodies to the ball, and that's something that you've got to keep in mind and consideration. All right, now with punting, as you saw with the wide, it was a little bit further out. You can actually, the biggest thing is, don't forget this guy. Please don't forget the punter. We sometimes get caught up in this whole tight scenario that suddenly it's 4th down and we don't put the punter in the picture. It's very important to put the punter in the picture. Cannot say that enough. And we have to make sure that he punts the ball. That's very, very important to make sure we know that he actually punts the ball. And we follow the people down, and then there we're going. So we've seen 3 special teams, a punt return, a kickoff return, extra point and field goal. And once again, here is the scoreboard at the change of possessions. And now this is nice because it's dead center of the field. You can tell this is his 3rd series. I mean, he saw the offense of the white team first, then the offense of the blue team, and now things are looking a little bit more like it should from a tight angle. This is nice and clean. It helps when it's straight in front of you. I understand that when it's in an angle or when it's in this angle, it gets a little bit harder, but this is kind of a nice, clean shot of what everything needs to look like. If you have any questions concerning tight, let me know. This is something that we're going to have to definitely make sure we're on point and looking at. The last thing we're going to look at here is the end zone. Y'all doing great on time. I'm not going to keep you much more concerning this part. As for end zone, we're going to change some rules this year, so I hate actually saying that this is how we'll film. This is not how we'll film overall-wise, but I still want to talk a little bit about how we film. The reason I say we're not going to film right behind the goalpost is because it's called the Bryce and Hughes rule. when you go to the bathroom and you leave your camera up, right up here at the goalpost, and you go to the bathroom at halftime, and then the kicker decides to knock it down, it causes too much stress in the guy that's running the company for y'all to explain that to me. So realistically, where we're going to actually set up here is that if we were on the other side, okay, we would actually say we were over here setting up, we would set up here on the hash. There's a hash line that goes right down the hash, and there's a hash over here. You can set up over here or over here. This gets us clear of these instruments. For some reason or another, last year we struggled with getting the goalpost in the way, and we want to move past that. When we're filming special teams in the end zone, this is a quick reminder for everybody, you always want to show all 22 players when we are doing special teams from the end zone. You never have to worry about trying to figure out where you're filming, but only when it's special teams. When this team is kicking the ball, when any team's kicking the ball whatsoever, that is when you want to make sure that you film all 22. And then you can tighten up as the play develops. Sometimes it's a lot of fun because you can actually get a really good shot. Now, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, there's a nice little sunspot right here. I'm working through that. I think I'm the one filming this game right here, dealing with that. Now, this part right here is called the end zone angle. This is the end man of the line of scrimmage. This is the end man of the line of scrimmage. We want to film this piece here and make sure that that's our framework to begin with. When the ball goes outside, we slowly widen out, but then that's it that we want to widen out. We don't want to widen out anything else whatsoever. We want to make sure that we stay at point for that particular world. We don't want to try to flip the camera out if they go way out here. We don't want to sit there and try to zoom it out there as fast as we can. We just want to widen out, so we're always trying to bring these players with them as they come. We're going to see this next play here. Once again, end man of the line of scrimmage, end man of the line of scrimmage. Next play, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be our pass play. We don't get caught up in the pass. Now there's nobody here. We can get this part right here and this right here. He's going to pass. We can widen out a little bit, and you're going to see me widen out just a little bit the moment he drops back. See how I just pulled that camera back a little bit? When I'm playing that, I'm pulling back, trying to figure out where he's going. And I'm just going to stay in the middle. Oh, he's not going to run. And then I'm pulling back as we go. And then he's dumping it off right down the middle. And then I'm taking my time. Now, this is what I'm talking about when I say we're going to get over to the hash, because I'm not a fan of this thing right here. I'd much rather sit on the hash and be able to actually have a clear screen to see if we can actually pull that off and do that. And that's kind of the biggest thing that I wanted to look at. You're going to see extra point and field goal once again in here in just a minute. Right here, end man line of scrimmage, end man line of scrimmage. Trying to get caught up too much. They're going to run the ball. I'm just going to widen out as I go, but I'm not trying to swing the camera. I'm just trying to use my wides, stay as focused as I can. They're going to kick the field goal here in a minute. Now with that, we want to show all 22. I love this shot mainly because you can actually see it going through the uprights. It's a fun shot to actually shoot in this particular world. It's a little scary, but for the point that the ball could knock you out, if you ask my dad, the ball's hit him 3,000 times. But this one was nice over to the right where our camera's probably going to be this time, and it'll hit that way. So, beggars can't be choosers. Now, what was this shot? Well, this shot right here is our goalpost. Okay, it's our scoreboard. Not our goalpost. It is our goalpost. But this shot right here is our 3-second shot, just like the tight and wide give us our scoreboard. Well, the scoreboard's behind me. I'm not going to flip the camera around. There's no need to. I'm just going to film. And as you can see, this other team that's here, they have theirs set up here, and they're put on the track, and that's their camera right here. Okay? They're sitting down in the chairs. Unfortunately, we don't get that opportunity. So now they're on offense going this way. In man line of scrimmage, in man line of scrimmage. And away we go. Very clean, tighten up, see that, don't try to stop. The one thing that you want to see that's very nice is, and I hope you've taken notice on this in your brain, is that we never ever have gotten jumped on a play. And what I mean by the word jumped on a play is that we missed the snap. Nothing irritates a coach more than if the first snap of the ball is like that. If they get that and that's the first snap, they can't use anything. They are throwing it out and frustrated that we actually turned around. That means everybody's moving and we missed the snap. So being on top of it is very important to make sure that we have hit record well before the snap of the ball. Okay, that's not, this right here. That's why you can see as soon as they start getting stand, I'm not trying to figure out if I'm a psychic and I know when they're snapping it. I'm getting down there not trying to miss the play. Have I missed plays? Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot. There's no doubt in my mind I've missed plays, getting caught up in something. My brain's thinking something else wise, and I missed that part. So one thing that we're going to see here in just a minute is the punter. When we're doing this from an end zone perspective, we want to show all 22 if we can, all 22 players when we punt. Sometimes we forget, and we got to make sure we see this little joker that's sitting right here. And as you can see, when the snap of the ball occurs, and they do that, it's a change of possession. So we go 3 seconds. And for me, I'm going to show the goalpost. I'm going to show the goalpost on the other side. Now I'm going to explain to you why we do that. And there's a purpose behind it. And I'm going to go through that, and then I'm going to talk about one last thing, and then we're going to depart and get ready for Friday night. Now, the reason that's the case, and I showed this at the very beginning for those people that joined us, it's very important that if there's just you and you alone and there's nobody else, then it's very important, as you can see here, play 1 through all the way through, let's scroll it all the way down. They had 171 plays. It's very important that these 171 plays match up. If you pressed wide, record and stop 171 times, I'm hoping to heavens you did that with your tight. Okay, and as you can see here, this is a scoreboard. As you can see here, once again, scoreboard. It's very important in that sense for the world. Now, right here, this is a ref trying to deal with a penalty and flag, so we recorded it, trying to figure out where the white cap is to film the penalty. We'll talk about filming penalties in a little bit, but right now, that's what this extra 50 seconds is they're trying to discuss where they're eating it, Applebee's or Ruby Tuesdays. So at this point, that's one of the things to be looking at it. Now, Live in Marvel, you asked, should we use the hash marks? When you say use the hash marks in the sense of filming from an end zone perspective, it's a good indicator to look at it. They're calling a touchdown, unsportsmanlike contact, and so forth. If you need a little bit more understanding, I can definitely help you out in that direction to give you clarification about that. When we look at the end zone here, that's where we're seeing it's good to line up from that direction when you say the hash mark wise. Down here, you want to make sure everything matches up, makes life much easier when you have to put all 3 together in the middle of the night. You love to know that everything is seen the same. Now, once again, when you're looking at this angle here, all of them, it's tight, wide, and end zone. This is wide, and this is tight. Now, this is strange because now there's the end zone, so we really don't have to go that far out. Tight's a little bit tighter, and you can see the end zone as it goes about, so you can really see the difference between the 3. Probably the best way to see it is if you were looking here, and you can tell the person got a little tired because your angles are off. This is centered, and this is centered, and that's not good. We got to adjust our angles. Centering our tight and adjusting our wide is very important to do. If not, once again, we have too much back here. I cannot actually echo that enough right now in that manner. Should end zone film the white cap? Aaron, the answer is if it's recording already and you saw the flag go down, Aaron, I would tell you to film the white cap. If you stopped it already, let it go. Don't worry about it, because then you're going to get yourself with too many clips, and it'll just be harder for me to kind of match them together and trying to figure those things out. The next time we do one of these teaching sessions, I am going to show you some horrible nightmare filming, but right now I'm a true believer that I really want to point out positive things, and I don't want to point out, hey, I can't believe we did this. So I'm really going to do my best to stay on the up and up and show you all the good things that we can do, not the hey, and so nothing sinks in as this might be a bad idea. When you, Caleb, you're asking how do we mark the plays, ODK, and this, you don't mark those. It gets done afterwards, Caleb. It gets done in a nice, wonderful place across the ocean around 3 o'clock in the morning. So that's our job to ODK it afterwards. You would never actually have to do that. It's already done afterwards, and it gets run through a system that way to be able to look at it from a down and distance perspective. But once again, everything gets matched up, and as you can see here, I got a little lazy. I didn't go to the scoreboard that play. That's why there's no play for the end zone. And that's what an open mark is, and then I have to adjust it and go down and figure out once again here, I missed the play altogether. Coming out, it's 41-0. I think I was freezing. I'll use that as an excuse, and I didn't get this play. That's why that play is not on there. I am human. I understand I make mistakes. I am definitely not a perfect filmer, so things happen. The nice thing is I know that 2 of them already had the filming. There was already a tight and wide. I hope that they got the play, and then I came back in with it. It's not fun. I knew I messed up. At least I knew I was aware of it, and it got me right back focused, but I just didn't hit the record button when I needed to. Right here, I think I was 2 for 2 of this one coming out of this. It was 48-0 at this point. I missed the play again. So from an end zone perspective, that's not good at all. I would definitely not be happy with myself based on that, and I was doing my best to get myself refocused, but I probably was making some excuse of why I didn't get those plays. The very end of the game, when the game's over with, that's sometimes the hardest time to stay focused. But as you can see here, you want to make sure that you get the countdown from the scoreboard, and then you also get the handshakes. The reason we get the handshakes is that fights can break out at the end of the game, and we want to make sure that we film anything that could cause somebody to want to look at it later. So it's very important to at least film the handshake. I like to say for about a minute, minute and a half. If everything looks like it's copacetic, cut it off and let's get out of here in that manner. With that in mind, if there are fights and stuff like that, you want to keep it rolling. You never want to not film that piece. Caleb, you ask how the coaches know during the game. It gets ODK'd on a tablet when they do instant replay. That's how it's able to find out during a game, Caleb, on that situation. And there's a little thing that you press ODK on your iPad to be able for them to differentiate between the two. But in this situation, we necessarily don't have to worry about that. So with that in mind, that definitely concludes me talking a little bit about from filming perspective between offense and defense, special teams, and how certain things look and what we're looking to be able to film. I have a saying, center your tight, adjust your wide. That's something that has to be ringing in your head a great deal. End zone is end man of the line of scrimmage to the end man of the line of scrimmage and so forth, and those are good ways to actually look at it. Now with that, if you have more questions about football games, we'll have a chance to talk a little bit about that briefly on Sunday, but I did want to talk about that on Sunday. I am going to offer a couple more of these training sessions to talk about film, but also talk about how to set things up. I'll go over some videos with you and about how to actually set things up as we go. One thing that I want to talk to you very quickly about is Google Maps. Everybody gets an invite that allows you to see where you are and says, hey, come to this. This is where it's at. It's very important to actually everybody close your eyes. I'm putting in my password. Did I do it wrong? Nope, I did it right. Good. So one thing I want to show you is Google Maps. I want you to be able to, if I give you a location, don't ever assume that I'm right, by no means. I want you to go to Google Maps. Type in Google Maps. Go in where you're actually seeing where, and this is Lovejoy High School. A lot of us will be going to Lovejoy High School on Friday night, this Friday, to film a scrimmage game and do some training that you'll be actually going to. And some of you will go to Terrace Stadium. Some of you go to Dutchtown High School. Those will be the three main locations for newbies to get some filming in. Some people that I really want to kind of cut the string with, I'm hoping that you're actually just going to go and I'm going to hand you a bag and you're going to go film. And you're going to be ready to go full speed August 10th. But the key thing is to hit the satellite button before you leave the house. Confirm that there's a stadium. Okay, because sometimes I confirm it, but sometimes it's very important for you to confirm it as well. And what you want to do is figure out where the parking's at. This is 12 Oak Stadium. The first thing that I'm looking at is trying to figure out, okay, where do I park? Okay, looks like I got parking there, I got parking here. So you know where it's actually at. But this is our main road, so for those people that are showing up on Friday at Lovejoy, to film Lovejoy versus, I think, Farrell, you want to park behind the stadium in the away parking lot behind Lovejoy Middle. I'll put the notes to it, but you want to park down here because it's just easier to get in. This is the walkway right here. You walk straight in, and then you go up. And where we go up and we film from is this area right here. There isn't a top part. It's nice. It's just stairs to walk up. And we don't have to walk up ladders to film, and it'll be a good opportunity for us to film this stadium on Friday. If I type in Dutchtown, High School, the first thing I look for is going okay. And, of course, sometimes I'm going to reiterate, it comes to a map. So hit the satellite to be able to look, and you can look at it on your phone, and you're like, oh, okay, there it is. So I know that this is where the stadium is, okay, and it looks like they have a press box that this is where we'll climb up through this little hole right here, and we'll film on top. Now, where you can park, it's pretty crazy. Not a lot of great parking places here. I always like to park on the middle school side and walk in this way. I don't like parking on the home side and doing that information. It gets there's a lot of traffic over here, and I don't like to get into. To be able to do that part. So that gives you that idea right there concerning Dutchtown. And also, this is a good end zone to film from. So you're dropping nothing. There's no stairs to deal with to move the 2.0 and so forth. So it's good. This is the way side. This is the home side. Last stadium to look at is we'll look at Grady Stadium in Atlanta. Horrible stadium to find parking. Why? Because you're in the middle of Atlanta. If you show up to this game and the game starts at 7:30 and you show up at 6:30, good luck. I hope it works out for us. It's going to be very hard to find, and you don't want to just park anywhere because you don't want your car towed. So you're going to have to find the best way to go. Now, you don't want to park anywhere over here because you're going to get towed. So you got to find a way to get into the stadium. Hey, I'm with such and such, and you park, meaning I'm here filming for Grady High School, and this is where we go. Over here, this is the away side. This is the home side. If you can see this little part right here, they actually have a nice little platform for us to be able to set up in front of the press box. A little different. Everybody has their own different ways. We just saw Dutchtown where it was above on top of the press box. We saw Lovejoy where it was on side of the press box, and this one's down right below it, but it's a very high stadium. Make sure you have your exercise in because, as you can tell, anybody that's been on Grady Stadium, it's not a fun thing to do. So it's just something to think about when you're going to a stadium to look at what you're getting into. You don't want to, show up, for example, if I suddenly said, okay, hey, you're playing North Atlanta, and they're the home team. If you type in North Atlanta, they don't have, my bad, North Atlanta High School. They don't have a stadium. This right here is their stadium, but it's not something where they play it. They play at Grady or Lakewood. This is just a typical, so you won't go to North Atlanta to play. So even though North Atlanta's the home team, I'll have Grady Stadium placed in there or Lakewood depending on where they go. So you would never end up at this school right here in North Atlanta. So just once again, something to think about to make sure that, hey, you have that in the back of your mind when you're looking at the location. Just don't assume it's somewhere than it normally is. It's always good to look and question me. I am okay with you questioning me. I will do my best to make sure I find where you're supposed to go beforehand, but sometimes they love to change their mind in the last minute to move something. So a lot of times with these high schools and middle schools, that's what we're able to find out. So with that in mind, it's 8:56. I've talked for a good 45 minutes on filming, and then I wanted to talk a little bit about maps and locations before we wrap up here tonight. I will be sending invites out either late tonight or first thing tomorrow morning for locations and times to film. Once again, you will not be filming on your own. I will either be with you at Terra State at 12 Oaks, which is at Lovejoy High School, or I'll have somebody at or you'll be at Dutchtown filming all by yourself because I'll have another crew there looking on that. So make sure that you have a chance to look at it. If I didn't send you an invite, I will. It's just going to take me a minute. I've got to make sure I don't over flood the system in the sense of making sure I can handle a certain amount of people on Friday nights to do that. We do have a game on Saturday evening over in Sharp Stadium. Hey, I'll put that up here because that's a crazy stadium. Sharp Stadium. Took me forever one time to find this place. Let's see if we can find it. There we go. It's in Covington, Georgia. And it is literally in the city, and it's sitting there right here. So this is Sharp Stadium. There's a McDonald's right here. Usually when you're standing on top of the press box right here, you can see the McDonald's. You got the shopping center, but you're going to be parking way over here in this area right here. And then you walk in and you walk around the stadium and you go up. All this, and that's, it's a little different based on that, but a lot of our teams, Rockdale, Alcovy and Newton, both play at Sharp Stadium, and there's a lot of teams that play there as well that are our opponents when we go there. So it's one of those stadiums that we go to a great deal. This is their county stadium, meaning Alcovy and Newton do not have home stadiums. As you can see, Alcovy versus Rockdale, August 23rd, they're going to be playing at 7 p.m. We film for both Alcovy and Rockdale, so that will be a doubleheader for us. And then you see down here where it's Alcovy versus Heritage as well. Kind of keep that in your mind overall wise. So it's going to be a little hectic in that degree. On Sunday, we will talk about a couple things overall, work-wise, payment-wise. And please make sure if you can be there by 4 o'clock. If you can't make it, you can't make it. You'll have a chance to meet with me next week. You can't have you work until we meet because I have to have you fill out some forms, make sure we're all on the same page, and get things moving in that direction. I love Dorian's question. Advice for handling no-huddle offense, fast-paced similar to Chip Kelly's Oregon offense. Should we stop recording in between plays or should we continue rolling between each play? Now, Mr. Johnson, if you hit record and never hit stop, you're going to hang out with me on Friday nights because I'm going to have to cut up all those plays. So you hit stop, they're going to get set, and then you reset and go. The catch is you just got to breathe and take your time. They don't move that fast. They still got to spot the ball and get going with that. But, yes, we want to always hit start and stop after each play. As you can see when we were talking about huddle, all these are plays. They're all broken up between each play so that they can show the stats and show everything else with it. If we don't hit that, then somebody else does, and that'd be me in the sense of recording-wise. They don't move that fast. They're not lightning quick, but they do move fairly. You just got to make sure you put your social media devices down. You're in focused, ready to go, and everything's working properly. So that's my best advice I can give you there, Mr. Johnson, on that one. to be able to do that. But our meeting on Sunday will be realistically from 4 to 6. I'd like to think that we're going to be out before 6. I will have a chance. Like I said, we're going to talk about a couple key issues. I'm going to show you where you're going to be bringing things by on Friday nights for uploading. I want to make sure I show you that location here at Henry County so we're not confusing anybody. Thank y'all so much for attending. It was great having an average of 45 people. It was almost like watching a broadcast on my end. That's how many people normally I have watching it. Currently, we have a lot of teams that are constantly asking for us to work for them, and unfortunately, I am trying not to overextend ourselves. So if we can knock it out of the park over the next 2 weeks, I could see us doing more. But right now I want to make sure that we don't put the cart before the horse and everybody's on the same page of how we film football and the expectations. It's very nice when you have coaches calling and saying, hey, we want you to work for us because they've given us names and said, hey, we've heard about your company. But it's all about what we do on our end. Thanks again. This will be live back so you can see this. We will have an opportunity probably first of next week to go over some equipment issues and to talk a little bit more in detail about instant replays and the pros and cons behind that. Because right now, the biggest thing that I want y'all to be able to get your brains hooked around on Friday, especially my new people on the phone, is your tight and wide. Yes, I'll probably have you film some instant replay, but that is not my overall concern. My concern right now is to make sure you grab the concept of tight and wide. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on Friday. If not, I will definitely see you hopefully on Sunday. Take care. Be safe. Good night.